Welcome to the Daily Devo. My name's Jeremy, and today I want to talk to you about how to practice loving your neighbor. Have you ever had a bad neighbor? You know who I'm talking about. If you live in an apartment or a condo, they're the one that lives above you, and around 2 a.m. it sounds like they're roller skating around the entire place. They could be the one that parks their cars in front of your house, leaving you no space for guests or for your own vehicles. Beyond your physical neighbor, Jesus expanded who our neighbor is based off who we come in contact with. He gave the famous parable of the Good Samaritan. You should look it up and you should read it. In Matthew chapter 22 and verse 39, Jesus lays out the second command on what we call the royal law. The first was about loving God with all your heart, but let's check out what the second one is. Verse 39 says, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Man, that doesn't leave us much wiggle room, does it? The verse says so clearly, love your neighbor as yourself. Here's another way of saying this. Want for your neighbor what you want for yourself. If you desire peace in your life, desire that for your neighbor too. If you desire financial security for your life, desire that for your neighbor's life also. And if you desire good things for your family, desire that for your neighbor's life also. I think you get the point here. As we talk about how to follow Jesus in this series of Devos, practicing loving your neighbor is important because how we treat our neighbor matters to God, and so therefore it should matter to us. This is challenging because people are challenging. We mostly judge ourselves based off our intentions and others based off their actions. So I want to give you a few things that you can do to practice loving your neighbor. The first is to pray for the people that bother you. Jesus told us to bless those who curse us, and part of loving your neighbor is speaking blessings over them when you don't want to. This sounds easy, but it isn't. Remember, your neighbor is anyone you encounter. So when you're on the road and you get cut off, instead of flipping out, speak a blessing over that person. Another thing that you can do to practice loving your neighbor is to be generous towards all, even when they don't deserve it. The idea here is our money matters to us, and we direct it to the places that we would rather not. We can practice loving our neighbor as ourselves. The Good Samaritan gave generously to a person who probably persecuted his people in the past. Letting God control your wallet is a healthy practice. There are many more ways, but lastly, we can practice loving our neighbor by speaking the truth in love. That may surprise you. Culture tells us that ignoring, minimizing, or just flat out lying about stuff is loving. Sometimes the most loving thing that we can do is speak the truth to those around us. Ignoring something doesn't mean it's going away. In fact, it probably means it's getting worse. How could people change if they don't know the truth? How can there be forgiveness or reconciliation if truth isn't spoken? If you were doing something that constantly hurt or aggravated the people around you, wouldn't you want to know? It may not be easy to stomach, but I think healthy human beings not only can handle truth, but desire to hear it. The response is usually, oh, wow, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that I was doing that. Thank you for sharing. It takes boldness on your part, and that's why it's something that we have to practice. I hope this helped you today. Thanks for joining us on the Daily Devo.